Hey friends, I'm Christy, and you're listening to Rock the Damn Boat, a podcast for women who are done playing small. If you've been shrinking to keep the peace or waiting for permission to want more, climb aboard because we are going to make some waves together. Don't forget to follow or subscribe so you're never left stranded on the shore. And if you want a more connected experience, visit thrivewithchristy.com to learn more about the Thrive Collective, a community that combines boat rocking energy with the grounding effects of yoga and breathwork with live calls and classes. Now, on to the show. Good morning, and we are back for another Sunday Shorty. And there's a couple of things that I am thinking about this week. I know last week I may have shared some interesting and surprising news around going back to a corporate job. And so just a couple more weeks of living a life of leisure, if you will. And also next week, I will be on vacation. I'm excited about that. And I'll be recording a couple of episodes while I'm on the road. So that'll be fun interviewing people from different settings. I am on YouTube, and you can also watch the episodes on Spotify. So you are welcome to always tune in and check out my big cat energy. I'm usually wearing something leopard print. It's always kind of fun. I am, like I said, taking it easy and kind of have been for this whole month of June. Now, June 13th is my birthday, so it is my birthday month. Maybe that's why I'm just like intuitively doing whatever I want to do, which has been kind of nice. I felt the need to really slow down and be present this month, especially knowing that I'll be on the computer, a lot more as I go back into work. Now it will be remote work, so I'll be, pretty much on the computer all the time. And that is very much how I started my entrepreneurial journey. I jumped right in. I was nonstop creating content, writing on the computer, podcasting. That's all through the Riverside platform. And it was, first of all, exhausting. And second of all, wasn't sort of how I saw my freedom of time, because everybody wants to be an entrepreneur for that freedom, right? Well, you can end up pretty much glued to the computer. And the past week or two, I've been spending more time walking outside, working in my garden, doing some planting projects. It's been nice because not only am I getting exercise and moving my body, but I'm spending time in nature, which is so healing for many reasons. If you follow M on the Brain, she is on Instagram, and she talks about the patterns we see in nature that feel comforting to our brains. I've also heard from many sources about bird song is calming to our brains because if the birds are chirping and singing, they feel safe. And so it subconsciously indicates safety. One of the things I remember from being outside during the total eclipse when it was fully visible in Texas, all of the birds stopped. And it was noticeably eerie. There were a few what sounded like crows, maybe grackles, that made a few caw sounds that added to the eerie effect. It was like being in an Edgar Allan Poe poem. Everyone's touting the benefits of sunshine first thing in the morning. Well, I go out to feed the horses, and I usually stop and pet the cat. So I'm outside first thing, and I notice just how active the birds are in the morning. So birds, patterns. Dr. Sanjay Gupta talks about some kind of photochemical that trees put off, so that helps calm you. There's all kinds of reasons to be outside. Now, I also have been doing some things just for me. I got a new car, so it was my dream car from my 2024 vision board. I could not find a photo or a picture in a magazine of a Defender, a Land Rover, and I found an ad for an attorney that said, when you need a fierce defender. And those were the words I put on my vision board. So here I am 2 years later. I opted out of a new vehicle last year because I wanted to leave corporate so badly and I did not want to tie myself down to a car payment. Now, with the job and money that I had socked away to be self employed, I actually paid half of the car as a down payment. And I got it through Carvana. It was used, it was a low mileage lease. So I was able to get a really reasonable car payment. And I love that the manifestation there paid off. I also applied for TEDx Southlake, and I mentioned in last week's episode that I thought I had done it all wrong. I didn't submit the video. I didn't get confirmation that I got the form submitted. And I heard from them yesterday and I made it through round 1. So I am moving on to round 2. I have to submit a 2-minute video with my idea for my 15-minute talk in a 2-minute synopsis. Now, the good news is I had already recorded that. So as long as I'm still happy with the output, then I will just submit that recording. Those are things that I'm excited about and I'm celebrating. And the two things that came to mind for me when thinking about this episode is, number one, we should celebrate. We should celebrate our milestones, our achievements, our big wins. And at times that can feel, or at least if you've been conditioned like I have, it can feel like bragging. And there are lots of ways in my life, in my childhood, interactions with others, ways that we're programmed, that can feel like bragging, like self-promotion, which for all intents and purposes, self-promotion is a huge part of entrepreneurship. So I struggle with self-promotion. And even posting the photo of my new car on Facebook felt uncomfortably braggadocious, I think is the word. I almost pulled it down right away. And then I thought, no, I manifested this for 2 years. I was smart about the financial investment in it, putting that money down. If someone was saving up to buy their dream car, wouldn't they be inspired by the fact that you can do it, that it can come true? I also hesitated to share that I had made it to round 2 of TEDx. I felt uncomfortable with that visibility. But if I'm going to speak on a TEDx stage, then I have to be comfortable with visibility, absolutely. And again, it could inspire someone who thinks, wow, if Christy can do it, maybe I can do it too. I have been very public about how I've learned public speaking. I took Jess Ekstrom's course. I have put myself out there on stages at different conferences and, of course, doing this podcast. And before this podcast, I have a YouTube. So if you go out to YouTube and find Part-Time Pastures, that was me documenting our homesteading journey. I was getting comfortable on video. I used to have little 2-minute daily inspirations on an old channel, which I've since taken down, but I've been practicing at this for a while. So again, could inspire someone who is just starting their journey toward public speaking or wanting to create a YouTube or do something where they have to be visible. Maybe my milestone and my accomplishments inspire them. I wouldn't even have known where to start with public speaking if Jess Ekstrom wasn't such a celebrated speaker. So being comfortable with sharing milestones and sharing accomplishments, it's huge. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Do not let anyone dim your light. When I think about reasons that I'm uncomfortable with it, I go back to a friend in grade school who would tell me I was fishing for compliments. I really took that phrase to heart, obviously, considering I still remember it at age 50. I was thinking the other day about how my parents would say, "Don't talk back." And then I was reminded that there's this silly song from the 50s about "Don't talk back." So that's how our parents were raised, was to give the instruction of "Don't talk back." So then we learned to quiet our voice because, especially for someone like me who is now late diagnosed ADHD and understanding things that could have been up at the time, I would have been rejection sensitive. And so wanting to please my parents would mean that I didn't talk back and I didn't raise my voice. I probably didn't share my opinion if it differed from theirs. And that's no disrespect to my parents whatsoever. That's just how they knew to command respect from Gen X kids. Now, I don't know. You'll have to tell me if you're a millennial, if you heard that as well. Don't talk back. If I was wrong about something or I shared an idea and it wasn't well received, those are things that might have really wounded my rejection sensitivity, my RSD, and caused me to play it small, to be quiet. I remember an interaction with a childhood friend, a neighbor, where she said, "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?" And I couldn't speak up in that moment. And again, those little memories that are burned into my brain that taught me that it wasn't safe to speak up. I know that those are things that are better left in the past, but it's also intriguing to think about how we have experiences that shape us. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention today is these big milestones, these big achievements might feel really big to some of my listeners or anyone out there who is in people pleasing mode or maybe playing it small or feeling a lot of imposter syndrome. Those things that I have done and that I've shared and that seem like huge wave making or boat rocking events or challenges that most people don't want to step up for, I want to remind you about ripples and the ripple effect. And I would say that some of my seemingly boat rocking activities or things that feel really out of my comfort zone might be minimal waves compared to someone who is like an activist and creating tidal waves in the world. Like there are much bigger boat rockers than me, and I still feel uncomfortable with confrontation, with difficult conversations. So I may speak up and then I recoil immediately, like with a vulnerability hangover. And oh my gosh, can't believe I said that. And then I have to sit with how my body feels in reaction to that. But no matter where you're at, as long as you are starting to make the changes or take the steps that feel authentic to you and that help you pursue something that is outside of your comfort zone or something that feels like such a passion burning deep in your heart or in your gut, even if it makes tiny little ripples, just know that you taking that action not only will feel good in your body, but could also inspire others. And I have realized over the last few weeks in doing things off the screen, off the computer, doing things just for myself, that I have let go of some of that performing and need for validation that has been present for most of my life. There are so many things that I've done in my life that I did because I wanted to impress other people. And where I would caution in doing something, following your passion, is in doing it for that external motivation, for that external validation. But if you do something that feels good to you, like purchasing that car, I had test driven two different Defenders. And yes, it's a luxury vehicle, a luxury brand here in the States. And so there is maybe some level of status attached to it. It drives beautifully. I wanted to sit higher on the road because I love my Subaru Outback, but I also don't love being so low to the ground. As a really short person, I feel safer when I'm sitting high up off the ground. So whether it was that or some other type of SUV, I was looking to get that higher vantage point. And I love the car. I love the bells and whistles. I love that I was able to get a good car payment. First Carvana experience, and it was great. And those are things that make me happy. And the external part of that, the ripples that I want to create, is not that you go out and buy the same car. It's that you look at it as, I waited 2 years. I saved money. I manifested it, and you can too. And the other piece of, say, the TED Talk is learning to use my voice. I took that public speaking course in 2023, and I've shared more than once on this show. It was thousands of dollars, and I did not do much in the way of pitching public speaking for years. I made about half my money back doing those, but then I let it sit for a couple of years. When I had the yoga studio, I didn't want to travel. I didn't have time to pitch. And now that I'm pitching again, I'm starting to get a lot of rejections. So to get local conference rejections and then get acceptance for round 1 of TEDx was huge. Felt like a great win. It would be nice to be able to say I'm a TEDx speaker. So when I can say I'm a TEDx speaker, because I am manifesting that too. The things I share, I wrestle with them feeling like bragging when in reality, they are celebrating. People want to celebrate you. And it's hard sometimes to step into that spotlight, but just practice. Share a win that you think that nobody else will care about. Share it on Facebook, share it in the comments for this show, or share it with trusted friends, but get over that initial feeling in your body that you shouldn't. Notice if your body tries to shrink and you get tense in the chest or tense in the belly. Can you really take a breath and really expand that heart space and talk about the thing that you want to celebrate? And then know that you might be creating a little ripple effect that is going to inspire someone else to follow that same path. That is it for the Sunday Shorty. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you again soon. Tune in Wednesday for my second half of my interview with Nicole Bowden. You've been listening to Rock the Damn Boat, a podcast produced and recorded by Christy Hughes. You can follow, subscribe on both Apple and Spotify, and your 5-star review goes a long way. Thank you so much for your support of the show.